Hello everyone, and welcome to another video in DEVOUR. Today we're going to be looking at a tier list that's going to rank the maps in DEVOUR from easiest to hardest. We're going to see which ones are the, we're going to actually be looking at a general gameplay perspective. Your average players playing in a 4-man or 3 or 4-man, something like that, or just a random group of strangers coming in together to try and beat a map. What does the average player, which maps are harder or easier for the average player? This is not taking into account solo runs, speed runs, or any other like extreme challenges like that. I'll probably do a tier list on those later on. If you're watching this video and you have an idea of where you would place these maps for solo runs or speed runs, whether it's a group event or a group attempt at a speed run or a solo attempt at a speed run, feel free to let me know down in the comments, because I've done all of these solo Nightmare myself. Some of them with strategies that no longer work. Some of them with tips and tricks that sometimes just take super long, so it's not good for speed runs. Just let me know down in the comments. I'll be interested to hear what you say. But now that we have all that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and start with the farm. Farmhouse is probably your easiest map to date. It has the fewest mechanics to look at, and the what's the best way to say this? The most basic of gameplay. So I'm not putting it in D tier because none of these maps are bad. As far as, I should really just kind of like relabel these. Let's look like super difficult, challenging, advanced, and basic. And this is where the farmhouse will probably always stay. I'll just say in development. And from now on, if there's a map coming out that we know of but we don't have anything to go with, I'll just place it right there. But as far as the farmhouse goes, the farmhouse is basically your basic all-around map. It's going to teach you how to play the game. All it requires is one ritual item, one gas can. That is it. Just some hay and stuff like that. So, basic level farmhouse. After that, again, this is in a group setting. We're probably going to come here and place what am I trying to think of? Asylum here in advanced, just because Asylum does require a little bit more from you than the farmhouse does. It requires a better map knowledge and spawn rates of keys, spawn rates of the rats, or spawn locations, I should say. After that, it also requires you to understand that you have to kick the garbage cans to release more rats so that you have enough. And then it requires more team effort in the electrocution of the rats than the farmhouse does, because one person puts a goat in, one person burns a goat. That's all that's required. In the asylum, you have one person to pull the lever, one person to make sure that you have enough. What am I trying to think of? Fuses. Equip put the fuse in the fuse slot, and one person to put the next rat on and play defense for the rest of the team, because there's only one entrance for that basement, and if Molly comes down, you're kind of boned. After that, as far as the inn goes, I'm actually going to put the inn at super difficult for new player, for the general populace. This is because the inn started it worked on the multifaceted aspects of gathering, cleansing, randomized shrines, and the fact that Zara can block off entrances. She requires more from your UV. She requires more from you of all of your resources than in any other map. You have to use your UV on her minions, on her webs. You have to use water to cleanse the shrine, water to cleanse the pools, eggs on the pools, and then eggs on the shrine. There's three steps to do just a single egg, There's 3 things that you need to do for the UV. You have to memorize where the shrines are. You have to memorize which shrines are at, which symbols are at those shrines. They're randomized every time, so you can't actually memorize where they are until you actually start going through the map. For a general purpose, all around average player group, this is a super difficult map. It takes a lot. I remember when it first came out, people were having an absolutely difficult time with this map because of it just completely flipped the script for all of DEVOUR. This was the map that started it. This was the map that started randomizing even more stuff inside the map. And while it's not that big of a map, its tight quarters really lend to Zara being able to control the map by blocking it off with webs and stuff like that. This is a super difficult map for your average player group, so that's why it's going up into the top tier of super difficult. After that, we come to the town. The town I'm putting as challenging. I've met people who have beaten the town but have not beaten the inn yet. Mostly because the town is larger, it has bigger spaces, you're less likely to run into Sam, while the spirits are an annoyance and a bigger issue than Sam. People seem to be able to handle the town better. Mostly because I think it just gives them room to move and room to really kind of like look around. They have time, basically. Every threat isn't right around a corner. It's not within a tight corridor. You can see the threat coming for the most part, unless you're, in a building and a spirit happens to come through a wall or a floor at you. In this one, yes, there is the multifaceted thing where you have to find matchsticks for the pentagrams, you have to find which pentagram is lit, you have to find the keys for the lockboxes, and then you have to take them up to be burned. But all of that is just kind of a flow sort of thing. You're taking the matchstick to the pentagram, you're lighting the pentagram, you're cleansing the book, and you're burning the book. It's not as chaotic as the inn, where you have to kind of gauge which of the eggs that you want to burn and which of the ones you want to save for later on in the match, because okay, we got unlucky and we got a whole bunch of like close shrines to us instead of far shrines. We're just going to burn until we can find the far shrines. The town being such a large map gives players time, gives players room to maneuver, and gives players a bigger sense of security, just because you're not always going to be seeing Sam. There are some times where you'll see Sam off in the distance and you're safe, you're far away. Unlike the inn, where you never know when you're safe. You can hear that, you can feel the blinking lights, you can hear Zara like running around, and you don't know if you should move, you don't know if you should turn the corner. Your average group is going to have a much more difficult time in the inn. So right now, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the difficulty levels go, it's the inn is the most difficult, then the town, then the asylum, and then the farmhouse. But farmhouse should expect to be like at the bottom of the, like right at the easy tier, just because it was the basic map. It's the map that everything else has evolved from. I doubt we're going to see any more new mechanics come in for it, unless like way later on they decide we're going to add this general mechanic to the game, and all the maps have this mechanic now. But I think Farmhouse will always be basic, and this will we're probably gonna see these things like kind of not really change too much. We might see the slaughterhouse add to one of these levels, but beyond that, I think this is about the best tier list you're gonna see for a general group. But that's going to be it for today's video. If you agree with me, let me know down in the comments. If you don't agree with me, let me know down in the comments as well. I'm interested to see all your perspectives, especially if you're coming at it from like a nightmare mode or a solo run speedrunner perspective. I'm always interested in hearing something like that. Hope you all have a great day, and as always, stay positive.